Okay, who are you?
I am Laura Ralls, and I just recently came back from a trip from South Korea, and it's really heartbreaking right now because I don't know if you've seen on the news every day, it sounds like a war is going to break out, and all those young people that were trampled to death, and having just been there and seeing all the beautiful people, really quiet and polite, just having been there, it's really sad hearing the news. But I bought a book there, and I haven't read it yet. So when I was in South Korea, I bought this book, and I'm going to open it now and start reading it, and I don't know exactly what it's going to say. I know what it's about a little bit, but I don't know exactly. So here we go. It's called The Five Spiritualities Fulfilled Through the Little Soul's Life. Okay.
Our analysis of...
Oh, look, chapter 1 isn't until way into it. Well, I'll just start at the beginning, or should I start? Let's see. I'll just start from after this pretty picture right here this is about, I guess, Julia Kim of South Korea. So, what are the five spiritualities? This fivefold spirituality of the Blessed Mother of Naju is both a sublime prayer and an unprecedented spirituality fulfilled through a little soul's sacrifices and love, flowing perpetually like a spring that never dries up. Indeed, it was not given by the Lord and the Blessed Mother spontaneously. The Blessed Mother asked Jesus for a little soul who would help her work for the salvation of the world. Wow, this is intense. I never heard this before, heard it put like that. From the multitudes of people, as countless as the stars in the sky or grains of sand by the sea, Jesus chose Julia Kim. Jesus, together with Mother Mary, guided Julia throughout her entire life and personally prepared and nurtured her from the time she was in her mother's womb to every step in her life since then. Instead of money, power, fame, and any other material comforts, Jesus accorded his little soul with poverty and unimaginable pain instead, continuously subjecting her to envy, jealousy, slander, contempt, insult, and beatings. Please don't be discouraged or repelled by Jesus and religion, because I don't think this is going to be like your traditional, American Christianity. This is a story coming from Korea, so we'll just keep an open mind.
Says the girl with the St. Charles Jewish Festival.
See? I represent, and I'm not even Jewish. Okay.
And Mama Julia was originally a Buddhist as well.
Yeah,
right?
she was not a Christian. She was not raised Christian. I don't think her family practiced Buddhism, but that was, kind of like the tradition or whatever. They may have, but I don't remember her. I think her mom was just overcome with everything, being a widow and the war and dealing with near starvation.
Hey, show that picture.
Oh yeah, here's a picture of Julia.
Bring it in close. Yeah. Okay. Just so everyone can get a look at Mama Julia when she was in her younger days.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures in here. We'll show. The little soul, however, made good use of her free will to overcome every pain by endlessly offering up her self-renunciation, love, and samchigo, which is self-denial for the love of others. Thus, the little soul grew spiritually, and the five spiritualities gradually developed and were fulfilled one
I have
by
a question
one.
about samchigo.
Yeah, I
Would
do
you?
too, because I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think
kind
of
of
it
a
the
hard
same
concept
way.
to grasp, but I was just the other day I was reading a little bit about mortification.
Uh-huh.
Would you put? Is it like on the same plane as mortification, or?
By the way, today is the feast day of St. Charles Borromeo.
Oh wow.
Cool. So,
Yeah,
hey, shout out
Yeah, that's.
St. Charles and St. Charles.
Yeah, that's
Woo!
by those of you who are not in the know. Yeah, that's who St. Charles is
Is
actually
named.
named after,
Right.
St. Charles Borromeo.
But what
all
were
right.
you saying about the five, or about
It's an auspicious
Sunchigo?
day. Some Chigo, have you ever like looked up mortification?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
I mean,
discipline.
yeah.
I mean, a way to make
I
it.
mean, in a way, they used to like back in the olden days, like sort of flog themselves or whatever, but or just to induce pain because, or even like kneeling on your knees, even though it's like uncomfortable, like
Yeah.
you're supposed that,
Well,
but they're saying, but
yeah.
so, but
I
it
think
can,
of it like
but it
this,
can
'cause-
also just be sacrificing a meal or fasting
Right.
or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I look at it like this too. When I used to hear those stories, I thought it was kind of creepy and scary because I didn't
Yeah.
really understand. But then I thought about when we exercise, we don't think anything of going
Yeah.
to that threshold of a little bit of pain.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So when I thought of it that way, why do it's like spiritually? And I also read a saint said it's good to discipline your body just a little bit, even if it's
Yeah.
just something small every day, because it detaches you from the earth. And what it is we don't want to be controlled by the flesh.
That is something I've never really thought about. Yeah, like when we exercise, we
Yeah.
willingly, put ourselves through a little bit of pain
Yeah.
and even keep pushing it, even though
Because
we are.
we have a goal
So,
and we know
yeah.
it doesn't just end, we have this pain and that's it, pain for pain's sake. No, it's because afterwards we know we're going to be stronger. So I think, like, if you say, well, I'm just doing this just to punish myself. No, that's not the way to look at it. You shouldn't be doing it like I hate myself or something. It's not that. It's about, I think it's more like, I think of it as discipline, but
Yeah.
But I know the sisters in Naju in South Korea, they pray the rosary with both arms up. So I've been trying to do that. It wasn't as hard as I thought, but I put it down for the, like, whatever, when they announce the next mystery and say the prayer. But it's funny because here these little tiny nuns, they look like teenagers, because they're drinking the Naju water and they're staying all cute and young. But then the brothers, who are monks and they're young men, they only do it, hold their arms up every other decade. So the girls are holding it up the whole time, but I wonder what that means.
I don't know.
Maybe it's an act of humility saying that here we are men, but we don't care if we humble ourselves, making it look like we're weaker than these little girls.
Yeah, could be.
Who knows? It's all a mystery. Okay, so maybe they have to save their arms because they do some physical labor. They might make chairs or something like the Mennonites. You know how they make furniture, or like the Amish. Or something. Anyway, I know this is self-indulgent ridiculousness. Now I apologize. I think we lost some viewers now, but okay. So, no matter the amount of education and knowledge we have, if we consistently practice the teachings held in the Five Spiritualities, these in turn are a sure way to help us to more quickly acquire virtues, discernment, and perfection. Wow. It will also lead us to a life of repentance, enabling us to make full reparations for the sins of the world. If we look into how the Lord's amazing grace worked through the little soul's life, it will help us understand and appreciate the deeper meaning of the Five Spiritualities of Naju. In 1980, Julia Kim met our Lord and he restored her from death. Since the time she was a catechumen, she performed many religious... She was,
What is a catechumen?
Like you, if you would have gone to RCIA.
Okay.
Well, catechumen might be a different name. That might be where you're fully entering as a newbie, hasn't been baptized, But
Yeah.
I know Mama Julia first.
No, I mean, I kind of knew, yeah, but I was just.
Maybe it's like a catechism,
Because
like
I know
the
they have catechists, yeah, and then
Yeah.
catechumens, okay.
But I know she first became
teachers,
like
teachers of the no, wait.
She's not the teacher. She went to school to learn.
No, I was gonna say
Oh.
the catechists are teachers of the catechism. Okay, yeah, the
Yeah.
catechism of the Catholic Church. Okay.
And she was like a born again Christian first, and then became a convert. I do remember reading that. Okay, so she performed many religious ministries, including counseling, visiting the sick, and participating in the activities of the Legion of Mary. In order to manage, she often had to leave her personal work at the beauty parlor behind. People around her would make scathing remarks, such as, "That young lady knows nothing about the art of hairdressing. She hires hairdressers to earn money, then goes around masquerading, doing the work of God." Maybe it said this in the preamble, but at this point, I guess she owned a beauty shop. I know she did. She started off as actually a hairdresser. The little soul, conscious of what was being said behind her back, said to herself, "I am disgracing God this way." To put a stop to all the gossip, she entered a national beauty skills contest in March 1984 and won second place in the bridal makeup category. Then in July of the same year, she earned the top spot in the hair perm category at an international beauty contest. After that, all those who previously slandered her ended up visiting her and said, "Forgive me for belittling and criticizing you, a top hairdresser." But the little soul asked for their forgiveness in reply. "No, it's my fault. I was the one who caused an opportunity for you to do so, and therefore I was wrong." See, that's hard. That takes strength. And here's a picture of her whenever she, I guess this was in the 80s when she was doing. That's cute that the Blessed Mother and Jesus picked this very special person out of all the people in the world who did hair and makeup.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cute. Maybe it's symbolic. Mama Julia helps us to make our souls look beautiful.
There you go.
There we go. I'll have to say that sometime. Okay, so on March 13th, 1987, you would have been a senior, right?
Yes. Well, I got my GED when I was 16.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was a dropout, man.
Hey, some of the best people were.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs of Apple was a dropout.
Yep.
The Blessed Mother made a request to the little soul. Inform people about your family. Share the tireless efforts you have experienced in taking care of them. This also meant make the five spiritualities known to the world. If she had not been armed with the five spiritualities already embedded into her since childhood, it would have been impossible to take care of her family, which will be explained in detail throughout this book. Yeah, it's weird because I am in an online retreat, and it started with her very beginning of her childhood, and right now it's up until her engagement and she's getting ready to get married. So this is weird because the book kind of picks up a little bit later, I guess. I mean, she sounds like she's been married for a few years already, but her childhood was horrendous. But the five spiritualities, it wasn't something from religion. She wasn't religious. It was a coping mechanism because she was 3 or 4 when the war in Korea broke out, which is ironic because right now they said things, they keep saying on the news, this hasn't happened since the Korean War. This hasn't happened. And it's like, Mama Julia, the five spiritualities is actually a reaction to consequences directly caused from the Korean War because the communists killed her dad, her grandfather, Then her baby sister died, all real close together, and it was kind of like swords stabbed into her heart, and she was only like 4 or 5. So, her mental coping mechanism were these things that are really hard. You have to have very profound mind control and concentration. I will say this, for example, she, even as a little girl, she would see homeless people, and she would give them her food, and she would say, well, I'm going to act as if, or pretend like I ate the food. So she would be hungry all day long, and she did it her whole life, because there's stories where she did it when she was older, like in this online retreat. And to be able to be hungry and then imagine you ate something and then you don't feel hungry, that takes a lot of concentration. And like Simchigo, the way they talk about it here is like sacrifices and that. So far, I thought of it more as pretending, acting as if, and it's like, I've read it explained another way, where it's like healing of your wounds from the past, because you can go back and act as if you were loved. I know she was abused physically a lot by her uncle when they had to live after her dad died, and they had nowhere to live for a while. And her uncle abused her a lot, and I remember in the stories her saying she acted, or I say pretended, because we say more like pretend, she pretended like she was loved by him. See, but I think they'll get around to it later, that the whole point is that if you live in this mentality, you don't accumulate those resentments and bitterness, because those wounds from our whole life, every little last thing, it just kind of festers and it becomes disease and poisons, and that's why they said if we can practice these, it can even lead us to perfection, but easier said than done. But anyway, let's go on. Okay, on Good Friday, now this isn't too long ago, but I've heard of these stories. I've seen pictures. I think you have too. On Good Friday, April 18th, 2014, while praying the Stations of the Cross on the Blessed Mother's Mountain and reaching the 14th station, God the Father took her soul up to heaven and gave her a message. If you want the world to be saved, go out into the world one more time and work for the repentance of sinners, so that all the children of this world may be perfectly armed with the 5 spiritualities that you have been proclaiming in Naju. Propagate and spread them widely. That alone is the last weapon by which they can be saved. So that's interesting. Let's see, so in 2 years or a year and a half, it'll be 10 years since that message. And think about all that's happened in the last 10 years. So things definitely have gotten crazy.
Heck yeah.
And then it says, the prayers of life offered most devoutly in every waking moment are the prayers fulfilled through your love, interspersed with sacrifices and reparations during the journey of your life in my infinite mercy. Therefore, do not worry at all, but get up and go out to the world and make it known. Wow, this makes me want to make it known. So, guess what, people? We're going to read this whole book eventually.
Yep.
Even if you don't watch it, it doesn't matter, because one thing Mama Julia says, try your best and God does the rest. We can only do what we can do. We can't do everything, but
Amen.
If you're trying at least,
Yes.
So like a little kid trying to ice skate or something. He falls down, but he went out on the ice and tried. So we're trying, right?
Yep.
Okay. The little soul replied, Father, I don't want to go back to the world. I hear you, Mama Julia. I would say that too, especially her who had this horrible life full of suffering. So, being very honest, Mama Julia says, I don't want to go back to this world. God the Father said, my dear, Because a little soul like you is in the world, I have not sent down punishment upon it. If you do not go back to the world, I have no choice but to proceed to send down punishment. Now, before you start thinking God is mean and all this, it's natural consequences, okay? If you put poison into the ocean is going to get poisoned, right? If we destroy the environment, it's not God's fault, you know? If I trip and I'm gonna fall, do you think every time I trip, God is gonna like intervene and just set me back up? I mean, we have science, we have the laws of science, we're given free will, so it's just the natural just consequences of our actions. And because of her, and there's other people like this making sacrifices to.
It's been 20 minutes. Do you want to go? Do you want to wrap this up, or do you want to go on for another 20 minutes, or?
What do you think?
Yeah. Let's just go on for another 20 minutes.
Okay.
Or.
What do you got, viewers think? Okay.
Yeah, because that way.
We'll see how.
That way, we'll at least get a good. We'll get a good jump on it anyway.
I'll try to read more without making commentary too.
No, that's cool. No, that way we can still label it as an analysis. And,
okay. Oh yeah.
I like the. I think that just makes it better.
Okay.
You know, because I mean that way. Cause,
because then
like,
people might be like, well, I don't have to buy the book.
Right, and you understand the Asian mentality a little bit better, so some of the stuff might get lost in translation a little bit. Right. You know, you've been there.
Maybe
man.
we shouldn't read the whole book online because I want you guys to buy the book. We'll put the link below.
Well, they will, because we're gonna be doing it really slow. So.
Yeah, true.
But.
My dear, because a little soul like you is in the world, I have not sent down punishment upon it. If you do not go back into the world, I have no choice but to proceed to send down punishment. The little soul, knowing very well how terrible it would be if the punishment of the Lord truly did come down, thus acknowledged and obeyed him. Then God the Father blew the breath into her mouth and revived her, and she was sent back into the world. I remember this, and you can see videos online when this happened, and she did die. She got cold, her heart didn't beat, and it was a long enough period of time where it was a while, like, you know, she was definitely dead.
Yeah.
Okay. She felt that if God would call her up to heaven again, he would not send her back into the world. Since then, she began offering severe pains incomparable to any others that she had previously suffered. That's hard. That's sad because she suffered so much when she was her whole life. So that's eerie to think. In the last 8.5 years, she suffered the most. And I've read her childhood. Lord, forgive us. Because it's us doing it to her. She's partnering with Jesus to keep the world going so as many souls as possible will be saved. Okay. When God the Father saw the little soul taken up to heaven, I want to say something to everybody. So we'll stop there. I'll remember.
Okay.
But just so everybody knows this story. So when I was in South Korea, I went to this place called Naju, and that's where Mama Julia Kim lives. And right after I left, one of my friends that I had met there from Connecticut, she said, oh, pray for Mama Julia because she had an infection in her leg. They don't know what caused it. And they were afraid it would turn into, or it was starting to turn into sepsis, which I didn't know what it was. I had to look it up.
Yeah.
But it was life-threatening, and it was an emergency, so they had to rush her to the hospital and do emergency surgery. But the anesthesia wouldn't work. So they had to do it without anesthesia. And it was so deep, they had to cut it out to the root, and they had to go way, way deep into her thigh, like all the way, down as you could really go. And so she had so much bleeding, they had to stuff that with gauze, okay? And she's suffering excruciating pains. And then that stampede happened, where the Halloween thing. And my first thought was, I don't think it's a coincidence. And I thought of all those people when they were suffocating, they probably knew that they were dying. And they were probably thinking about their next life. And maybe through her suffering, she offered up for souls. A lot of those souls were saved. Through her sufferings, maybe it made them who didn't believe in God suddenly believe, or people that kind of believed in God or whatever realized God was real and said, yes, I want you, I choose you, I want to be with you. You know, you never know, but I personally don't think it's a coincidence, because that was a really profound, sudden, very painful thing that happened at the same time. And that was a lot of young people that had their whole lives ahead of them. It's really tragic, but God, Jesus has overcome death. Where is your victory? Grave, where is your sting? So we are happy because we get to live forever. So, but we need the 5 spiritualities. And look, the back had a picture of heaven.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so.
We done for the day then?
All right. Yam samida.